koslij.ivzhaj. According to the internet, this is how you say happy birthday in Klingon. But I'm getting mixed. There's some mixed information because another site told me to say it a different way. It said koslij.vlaj. May you enjoy your birthday. And I say this to you, and I can't believe the dark path of this how much I love you, of the Klingon language that I've stumbled upon. And now I've learned a story just now that there was a Jeopardy contestant that claimed to know Klingon and sang the happy birthday song, but everybody said he said it wrong. And apparently the Klingon purists get really mad if you pronounce it wrong. But I say this, any of you guys out there that might be listening, that I tried my hardest. I don't know. Maybe they need to show better, like, phonetically how to say this. But it's Daniel's birthday today! So that's why I tried to say happy birthday to you in Klingon. And there's a lot of mixed things.
I don't know a lick of Klingon, and I've never had any interest in Klingon. I struggle enough with my native tongue of English that I know a bit. I'm actually probably more fluent in Appalachian than I am English, but thank you.
Just say happy birthday.
Y'all.
Birthday boy. Anyway, it's Daniel's birthday, everyone. Daniel's one of those people that tries to act like he doesn't like his birthday, and I told him, it's okay. You can enjoy your birthday. So everybody wish Daniel a happy birthday. You don't have to attempt Klingon. I'm sure as a birthday gift to him, he would love it if everybody watched something Star Trek related.
That would be nice. What'd you get me?
What did I get you? Well, I bought you that video game thing that you like.
The Steam Deck OLED.
Yes, that you were like, can I get this as a birthday present from you for me? Sure. That's how adulting works. And then
I was going to buy it anyways, but
you're going to have a wonderful cake that I ordered for you.
That I'm picking up.
Yeah, that you have to pick up. Hey, we do what we can.
I'm trying to decide what I want for dinner tonight. It's between B-dubs or making myself a steak. And like one of them I don't have to cook.
Yeah.
But it's not steak. But the other one is steak, and I have to cook that one.
I mean, I could attempt to do the steak for you.
No.
But I think it'd probably get too well done. No. So, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And for everybody else, we hope you all had a great Thanksgiving.
And happy Tuesday.
Happy holiday season. My tree is still not decorated. The tree is up.
It has lights on. Yeah, it has lights on.
But it's been quite the roller coaster for a couple weeks, so I'm very behind on decorating.
Yeah. By the way, welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about TV that we watch. I'm Daniel. She's Hope.
And I don't speak Klingon well.
She does not speak Klingon well.
Valiant effort, though.
Yeah, I think you needed more Klingons are always very boisterous, so they're always really going for it and everything they say. You were very monotone in it.
It wasn't really giving me a way to say it phonetically. You should have seen what some of these phrases are. And apparently there's conflicting evidence. If I had thought about this earlier, I would have really committed and researched to it. Remember when Frasier thought he was learning Hebrew to speak at Freddie's bat mitzvah, but it ended up being Klingon because he got tricked. As a prank,
yeah.
And he was very stern
and he did it very well, so... Right. Maybe next year. There's always next year.
I could compose
a full
know.
Speech next year.
Do they have Rosetta Stone for Klingon?
Oh God, I don't know.
It's a real recognized language according to the internet.
There are thousands of speakers.
Maybe I'll make that my 2024 goal to learn.
You don't
Klingon.
need to do that.
I don't need to take it that
Elvish, Tolkien's Elvish language would be way cooler than Klingon.
Okay.
And that would go with what I want as my theme for next year's birthday.
That's true.
Spoiler alert for everybody. Next year, I'll be the big 40.
The big 40.
And it happens to be that my birthday is on Thanksgiving Day next year. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Anyway, birthdays aside, what have we been watching?
Do you want to start with this bevy of Hallmark movies?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question before we get started on the Hallmark movies?
I guess, because it's your birthday, I'll allow it.
So, my question is as follows. Is the quality just worse this year than in past years, or am I just watching more of them with you, so I'm seeing more of the stinkers?
I think so far the quality is not what it was. I don't know if the strike impacted that because they supposedly filmed a lot of them before the strike happened because they caught wind it was happening, and they can also film in Canada. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I think that there have been a few good ones sprinkled in with some very mid ones so far. And I would say
very mid,
very
extremely kind.
I would say that when you try to push quantity, sometimes the quality goes down, and Hallmark knows what a gold mine they've landed to because people want that escapism. They want to spend time in a Hallmark fantasy, so they have churned out as many as they can. And you could tell some of the ones that we chose to watch, which we talked about last week's podcast, some of those ones that aired earlier, like in that October pre-Halloween, early November slot, those were some of the stinkers. Some of the better ones were this weekend. But no, I mean, I think the pandemic year, you watched one almost every single night with me.
Oh, I've just completely like just taken a whiteout marker to that year. So.
Because I distinctly remember one of the movies, it had Vanessa Lynch's in it from that show, Young Americans. Was that what the show called? No, I'm getting confused because Young Americans was a different show.
Young Americans is Brave American. I'm sorry, I was thinking the game they play in New Girl. What is that one
True
called?
American.
True American. That's True Americans. Okay.
There's that show. It had like Brittany Snow in it. Anyway, I forget what it was called because I think Young Americans was a different show. And she was in one of these Hallmark movies. She's been doing them a few times. She was also in Glee. And she had ombre hair. All the women that listen know what ombre hair is. Yeah, not like ombre, but like the darker roots with blended in highlights, but kind of different than like how I do my highlights. And Daniel turns to me and goes, because this was like multiple women besides her had this ombre look because it was especially popular then. And he's like, okay, so is this just pandemic hair? Because they all have dark roots and light hair.
I don't remember saying that.
At the bottom, yes. And it stuck out to me that year. Because that year they aired a movie, I think, every night of Thanksgiving week. And this year they did a little bit different. The Thanksgiving night got a movie. Friday got 2 movies. Saturday got 2 movies. Sunday got 2 movies. So that's how they did. Which we don't watch them live typically. But we did make sure to watch a Biltmore Christmas on Sunday night when it aired.
Because these movies are maybe an hour tops.
Yeah, I think they're a little more than an hour.
But they put them into a 2-hour time slot with commercials.
Yeah. We did watch Biltmore Christmas, not as it was airing live, but we did watch it Sunday evening because that was one that I really wanted to see.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and kick it off and talk about each one of them?
That we watched? Sure. So, the first one that we watched this weekend, and we watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hallmarks. Did you watch every single one of these with me? You didn't watch all of Mystic Christmas. You were in and out of that one for good reason.
Yeah, I faded in and out of consciousness there.
I mean, I even did on that one. It was a stinker. So Holiday Road, that is the one for people that watch The Vampire Diaries. Aunt Jenna, I think the actress's name was like Sarah something. Her character's name in Holiday Road was Dana, but I call her Aunt Jenna forever and always because she was on The Vampire Diaries. She was in this one. This was a little bit different because the love interest, again, wasn't the A plot. It was basically a group of strangers get stranded in Portland, and they all are trying to get to Denver for one reason or another. So they ultimately decide, like, let's rent a van. So we have the one guy that was kind of like the uptight guy, although I found nothing uptight about his coffee order, I would just like to say. And what's wrong with planning and scheduling things?
He is a scumbag, dirtbag of a guy.
Yeah,
we'll get to
that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. And that's honestly a classic Hallmark trope. We have him. We have Dana, who's just like, live every last day, like, or live every day like it's your last day. We later find out she has like a heart issue. So she's just kind of like, I'm going to just live every day. I'm going to go snowboarding at Christmas. I'm going to do all these things. And he's like the uptight guy. I really don't know why he had like a dating app because he wants everything to be scheduled, check all the boxes. We've got grumpy old man, classic boomer, making fun of all the people with, their phones.
I mean, he literally did the thing of when they lost service, stopped at the rest stop and bought maps and was like, here's what a map looks like. And I'm like, everybody knows what a map looks like.
We just prefer GPS because
it doesn't mean that they know how to use said map, but we all know because that's what the thing on the screen looks like is a map.
Yes. I mean, I prefer to just hear her be like, turn here, turn here.
Well,
Turn
it
here.
is easier and more convenient, but
Yes.
ultimately, it's the
He
same
was a
thing.
funny character, though. And then we had the mother where she wanted to be a singer, but she was a bartender, so she was trying to get home to her daughter. We have the other mother with her son, who we find out's adopted, and they were going to Denver to visit the birth mother. We had the influencer, who was a little bit much, although I liked her shirt.
A little much?
Slay all day. And then we had the husband and wife, and they didn't speak English. Well, they spoke some English, but
The
it
wife
wasn't their
spoke more than the
primary
husband.
language. And they were kind of having some tension, you find out. So they're trying to get supposedly to her sister's house because they don't want to spend Christmas with their son because there's tension between the dad and son. So all these people, whatever you have, they end up in this van together. How long? You looked it up because Daniel's like, I'm going to look up to see how long this drive is. How long was it
Straight
without
through
stops?
from Portland to Denver, according to my Apple Maps, was 17 hours.
Yeah, that would be. Would you do that? I think I would tell the people I'm trying to meet in Denver, you know what? I'm going to be a little late. We'll try it next year for the holiday.
Yeah, I'd stay home.
I'm going to be like, yeah.
I mean,
I'm not
assuming
doing that.
I live in Portland. If I don't live in Portland, I'm probably still getting a hotel and staying until the weather is better to wherever I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, it just. Would you? I mean, what would it take?
I'm certainly not jumping in a van with a bunch of strangers to drive
I was
17
say, what
hours.
would it take for you to do that? Like,
Portland is sliding into the Pacific Ocean.
no, I mean, like, what travel situation would
That's
ever
the
make you do
situation.
that?
Portland is sliding into the Pacific Ocean. I literally cannot stay there. That's what it would take to get me into the van with these people.
Okay, I meant like a travel cancellation situation anywhere in the world. Is there anything that would have you be so desperate that you needed to get in a van to get home? There
Let's
was a
see.
bunch of those delays over the summer when all the airlines had their
If-
little freakouts and it
if-
was hard to get hotel rooms. That might cause me to get in a van with
So
strangers.
Las Vegas used to have the Star Trek experience.
I'm actually going for real issues
And let's
to get home
say
to my family, and
that
you're giving me Star Trek.
The original design for the Star what they ended up with was just like in a building, and they did some of the Enterprise like bridge and stuff. But the original concept idea was they were going to build a 1-to-1 replica of the Enterprise.
With the red carpet.
Well, actually, this would have been the one you saw in Wrath of Khan.
Oh, mid.
At that point, Next Gen hadn't really gotten fame yet. And so let's say I was given a VIP ticket that I could only use on a certain day, and like a bunch of cast members from Star Trek were going to be there, like Stewart and Franks and all those guys were going to be hanging out, and I was going to get to play around on the Enterprise by myself with nobody else there, just with the cast members. Now maybe I would get into a van with strangers to get there on time.
All right, everyone. So I would choose to get in a van with strangers to get home to my family, and Daniel would choose it for Star Trek.
You're
Only
coming too,
because
right?
It's your birthday.
You're coming too, right?
I mean, of course.
Okay.
I was just saying that I would go to lengths to get to my family, and you would go to lengths for Star Trek. Now, in sync reunion
Oh yeah,
happening,
you would
Taylor
drive.
Swift.
You would hike someplace
I
if
can
you had
see
to get to NSYNC or
That's
Taylor
true.
Swift. So.
That's true. Anyway, they all kind of have their little freakouts, their understandings. They come together. We checked all the boxes. Check cute little coffee shop in a town with Christmas themed mugs. Check random town that has like the elf games that they get to play.
That little random town that's supposedly in Utah. Now I've never been to Utah, so there are
I
possibly
have on my workout series.
places that look
I
like
see
this
Utah.
place, but it sure looked like Vancouver to me.
I'm sure that's probably because it was. And I'm going to say this right now, and I looked at Daniel during this section. So when they're in the town with the elf games, which I believe was in Utah, they're doing like some kind of obstacle course race, and they're almost about to win. I don't know what the prize
remember,
is.
yeah.
Self-respect. I don't know. And the one girl with like the heart issue, she couldn't find her meds earlier,
Yeah.
so she gets a little dizzy, and the guy just stops to go check on her when all he had to do was literally walk 5 more feet to finish. I would have ripped you a new one if you didn't hurry up and cross that finish line and then come check on me.
That was the writers trying to show that he was starting to care for her.
I would have been like, you care for me, you win. And would you not expect the same from me?
Oh, absolutely. If I'm bleeding out, you better get across that finish line and then come attend
And then
to me.
come attend to you.
Yeah.
So the guy, you want to explain how he ends up
Well, listen.
basically being
So
a jerk.
the reason he's traveling to Denver is because he's got a girlfriend.
Sort of,
on
he calls
his-
it like a sort of romance.
Yeah, whatever. He's going to
Classic
spend,
guy
Hey,
speak.
listen, whatever it is, he's going to spend Christmas Day with her,
Yeah,
and he got her a present.
Yes.
And he goes through all this trouble to get there to her, and then literally we see him on Christmas Day. She is in the background opening the present, and he's calling the lady from the van, and then he gets on a helicopter and goes up to the mountain, and like he is clearly like broken up with this woman.
Yeah,
on
dumping
Christmas
somebody
Day.
on Christmas Day.
That's rough.
So obviously, spoiler alert, they make it to Denver on Christmas. But yeah, that's a classic Hallmark trope of like emotional cheating. Even though he was like, oh, it's a sort of girlfriend, not, we don't know what it is. They do that all the time. This one they had, I want to see the other side of this movie of her the following year being like, I hate Christmas. I was broken up on Christmas by my boyfriend who met some rando woman in a car and drove 17 hours in a van with her. Now I hate this holiday, and I want to see her be charmed by a stranger who wears flannel and is a small town lawyer, and where they can bond over the Christmas spirit and fall in love. Redemption for this woman.
I mean, I say I would watch it, but only because I know you'd make me watch it if they made a sequel to it. So
this wasn't one of the stinkers, though. It
was okay. It was fine.
It was fine.
It was
fine.
fine.
Is good from you. I like that they're changing up the script a little bit and where they make it a little different. Now, speaking of not fine, Mystic Christmas. That was a stinker.
Is this the one I passed out during? What was I doing?
Started to pass out.
I was on the couch
this.
during this, right?
I think you had your video game
okay,
on,
I just
in and out.
remember nothing.
One of the actresses in this, one of the Hallmark actresses, her name is, I think it's Jessie Schramm. She does a lot of movies. Every single time we see her in a Hallmark movie, you go, is that the girl from Pitch Perfect?
Oh, yeah, okay,
She really does look like Anna Camp from Pitch Perfect. They really do look similar, that kind of like blonde, lanky.
Oh, this is the one with the seals.
Yeah, the seal.
Oh.
The seal named Peppermint was the only good character in the movie. She had.
What was up with that?
Yeah, and you act like you can't even remember the names until I tell you. The seal storyline, she was a marine biologist, but she had more chemistry with her intern than she did the actual love interest.
She had more chemistry with the seal than her love interest.
Absolutely no chemistry. It was the plot just slogged on and on and on, and it was a stinker. If you're not like me and you don't try to watch all of them and check them off your list, this is one you can skip.
That was the one where they were trying to make it seem like they'd had a thing in the past, right?
Yes, but
and then
like
there was a
one of them didn't email
miscommunication
the
and
other
blah
or
blah blah blah
something.
blah. And it just never, the parts I saw never came across right that like there was actual tension there. It was just awkwardness and weirdness, but not
cute weirdness.
No, like
annoying.
This is weird. Like, and then
and then the seal, who was a cute character. I love the seal, but other than that,
you gotta wonder if those things come together with some town has come forward and like,
It
hey,
didn't
we've got
even-
some weird
Yeah.
marine. We're in Connecticut or someplace, and we've got like we got a bunch of seals in this aquarium, and you want to use them for the movie.
And it didn't even feel very Christmassy. Like this was like the Die Hard of the Hallmark movies. Christmas was like a background setting. Like it was not one of the things I
wish
like
they'd let
about
me
this
write
movie.
the Hallmark Die Hard movie.
Maybe they reference Die Hard a lot in the next Hallmark movie we're going to discuss, which
gosh.
is. Do you want to go ahead and say it?
No, you go ahead.
You can't. Come on, utter the phrase.
Haul out the holly.
2 lit up. The
Lit up.
sequel from Haul Out the Holly movie last year, they decided that, you know what, we're going to make another. I thought it was way dumber last year than I did this year. It was still stupid, but maybe it's because I was.
Are you kidding me?
I was prepared for the stupidity this year. Listen, last year when we watched Haul Out the Holly, see, Lacey's movie, she's the queen of Hallmark. Hers, I always have expectations for. And I didn't realize that Haul Out the Holly was going to be as dumb as it was because basically they're trying to make fun of themselves. They're missing the mark a little bit.
No, a little bit. A little bit. They missed the mark so bad, they're like Columbus leaving school trying to find India and landing in the New World. That's how bad they missed the mark.
I did not feel good.
It was awful.
I did not feel good when we watched Haul Out the Holly last year, so that probably impacted my opinion. But I enjoyed the sequel, and you know what I think I liked about it? I was prepared for it to be dumb, and the love interests were already together, so they didn't have very much tension.
But see, here's the thing.
And I just enjoyed the shenanigans.
But here's the thing. I come into these movies prepared for them to be dumb. Every single one of them. And here we are. And this one is just, it was awful.
It was
an abomination.
It wasn't that bad.
Satire is dead. because they're trying to be satirical. but they're
Mystic
just
Christmas was more boring than this
Mystic
one.
Christmas was bad, but they weren't trying to be satire. They were trying to be satirical in this, but they don't even know what satire means.
You would rank Mystic Christmas over Hall at the Holly too?
No. But this one is also in the trash bin for me.
But it was cheesy, over the top. I do really like the blonde woman. I don't know what the actress's name is. It's escaping me. But she played Barbara Jean on Reba. And I find her hilarious in everything she's in. She was also in Baby Daddy. So, I kind of like, she was sort of the foil last year in Hall at the Holly, along with like the romantic thing. And this year she was kind of on their team.
This one also makes me
never want to be in an HOA.
Never. It confirms that I would never want to be in an HOA.
Which neighborhood do you think would be crazier to live in? The neighborhood where the Christmas with the Cranks live, or this one in Hall at the Holly?
I hate them both.
I think this one would probably be worse than the Cranks.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Really?
And the reason I'm going to disagree with you is because at least in this one, it seemed like everybody had the autonomy to do their decorations the way they want.
That's
Whereas
true. That's true.
in
As long as they follow the HOA code.
Yeah, and
he still had to measure their nutcrackers.
Right. As long as they follow the code. But in Christmas with the Cranks, it's like you got to be pretty uniform, and you all have to have that Frosty.
That ugly Frosty.
And that's just a pass for me.
Ugly Frosty. By the way, I'm going to deviate because, and we'll probably talk about this more, but Christmas with the Cranks, we can all agree that Blair was totally spoiled, right?
Sure, yes.
Like, if my parents were, like, telling me that they were going to skip Christmas to do a cruise, one, she tries to surprise them out of the blue. Like, I think I would be understanding and be like, okay, that's fine. I'll have the house to myself. Have fun. That's cool. We'll still eat. We'll still enjoy a meal together. We'll still be together. And I think that Blair probably would have been cool with that. But they all, like, I don't know. They all just, like, kissed her rear end in that movie and bent over backwards. And I get the shenanigans of it all and shows the neighborhood coming together. But every year I watch that, and I'm just like, really?
I know you like that movie. It's kind of a goofy, dumb movie.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. Marty. Everybody knows Marty.
Everybody knows Marty.
The other movie that we watched, this one had potential to be good, this Hallmark movie. And then they really missed the mark.
They ruined it at the end.
They ruined it at the end.
They had a golden opportunity. I even believe.
Golden opportunity.
I'm going to go to our last movie.
Because you were enjoying it while we were watching it.
I'm going to say that, similar to the last movie, this had a script. There is a script that could be uncovered somewhere that had the ending to this movie that you should name now. That could have
never been kissed. Get it? Like, never been kissed. They both had a crush on a guy named Chris, played by Tyler Hines, who's one of my favorite Hallmark males. I like him more than the Pencil Man, Andrew Walker. Tyler Hines is probably my favorite.
I liked him better last year in the one with the baby.
3 Wise Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and he definitely fit my type of man, grumpy.
They had the opportunity because both of they play it off as like
because the plot and the conflict was more about the two best friends,
yes,
than necessarily the romantic
interest. But about midway through the movie, he has come off as a vegan, but then we see him eating fish
twice. He eats,
and I start thinking, oh please let him be an absolute piece of trash. Like, he's just trying to play these girls to get, what a guy would want out of them.
Yes.
And he's just saying what he thinks they want to hear. And at the end, they dump him and realize that them as friends is the thing that actually matters. And they were so close. I thought they were going to do it. And then they pulled back at the last minute and redeemed him and let him
had
be
a little bit of a
half-decent character and a romance. Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that he had more chemistry with the blonde, and that seemed to be the one he liked the best. But because she wasn't outwardly fawning all over him and admitting a crush, he decided to go for the other one that he even said, like, you made me feel like Chris Silver again. Like, basically, she was good for his ego. So I started to think the same thing, especially when we saw him. He put the salmon on at the Hanukkah meal, because this was some Hanukkah and some Christmas in it. And then he ate her salmon off her plate when she went up to go.
Yeah.
Like, talk to somebody or do something. I'm not sure. So
they were so close. Just a couple different plot changes make him like he was that guy that was had another girl every week in high school, and they should and I wish they would have made him be that same guy, and he didn't change, but he was trying to pretend like he had, and then they find through the fight between the two about him that the true thing they needed was their friendship.
Even when he was on the date and he ate her fish, he was basically like, oh well, what if you just move here? and like already
Yeah,
being
there were
like red
so many
flag, red
moments.
flag, red flag.
Yeah.
And we're not saying the two best friends needed to be like romantically together, but I didn't really like the guy part of it, and you could tell the blonde one kind of like got over it and didn't really care.
Well,
she was more focused on like the friendship. They were very codependent as friends.
They even made a ha-ha reference to the Bechdel test in this movie, which is the whole thing about like if you're watching a movie and there's two female characters, do they have any conversation with each other other than about the main male character? They even made a ha-ha thing about that, and then the whole movie was about them talking about that guy the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like it was self-aware, but in the worst way.
Because they owned that company together. They were very codependent as friends. I felt like the resolution was extremely rushed at the end, and I definitely think another script we didn't need. We didn't need the guy. The point was that the girls, they came to an understanding, realized they were a little codependent, but they could still be friends, care for each other. Because they weren't even really fighting over him specifically. Like, at first, the one kind of felt like a little annoyed by it, but that really wasn't their tension. Their tension was more that they both felt like they were giving up things for the other one.
Right, yeah.
And including, like, careers. Like, the one girl apparently didn't even go to Stanford because of it. Like, what? They were basically placing expectations on each other. And it would have been, I think, like you and I, because at first we weren't sure how it was going to end. So we were actually, you were enjoying it, admit it, because we didn't have it fully figured out.
I should have known they weren't going to do it.
That they were going to disappoint you.
I should have known. Like, it's actually funny to have the conversation about this one. And no, I really, I do truly think that the writers had a different version of this movie that the producers stopped
and
from
we're like,
happening.
Oh, no, we need
and
to
it's funny
with
when you take it up against the storyline of A Biltmore Christmas,
which was the best one that we watched this weekend.
Correct, because William D. Riker shows up.
He was. His name
Jonathan
was Winston.
Franks as Winston.
And I think he totally knew about the time travel, right? They had
Absolutely.
They had a little wink about that at the end.
Well, he's the guy. He's been handling this thing for years. He has. How many times has he traveled back in time?
Many people feel like they're transported back to the past. But it also had Bethany Joy Lenz, who played Haley James Scott from One Tree Hill. I think she does a great job in any Hallmark movie she's in. People always comment on Reddit that aren't even One Tree Hill fans, because yes, I'm in the Hallmark Reddit, about how Joy always seems to have chemistry with like every guy she's in the Hallmark movies with.
I mean, I'm not gonna.
I think they had really good chemistry.
I don't want to put down like Lacey or any of the others, but I think she's probably the best actress.
I think so. Lacey is good and brings that cute little charm, and she's the queen of Hallmark, but pure acting and having chemistry with the person they're opposite of, I think Joy definitely is the best at that. And her movies that she's done have been some of the best. I actually followed the filming of this one back, which they filmed it. For some reason, I thought it was March. It was actually in January because they wanted it to feel as Christmassy as possible. So it was one that they filmed early last year, and I would follow her. To
actually be cold instead of all the actors are sweating their butts off with
like in July.
With giant coats on in July, and you can see this nice summer sun and sky in the background while there's fake snow everywhere.
Yeah, apparently Christmas at Graceland, which was one from a few years ago, they filmed that in July, and people, like extras that got to be on the set, said it was like super duper hot in July, and they all had coats on and everything. But this one, they actually filmed it in January. I was looking forward to it because the cast did actually all stay at the Biltmore, so I would watch behind the scenes. We got time travel.
A time travel mess around. You can't go wrong.
And
Unless you break your own rules, which they didn't actually.
Every question you had regarding the time travel, they answered. Well, so you have to give props.
The only question I have about the time travel is when you turn the thing, how does it determine how far back in time you're going? Is it just 80 years? Or is it like, how's that work?
I don't know. But other than that, I think it was you only travel back to that specific time. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, because I remember at the end.
I'm just going to say that Riker had some little sorcery involved with determining.
What was the actor's name? Jack
Houston?
Jack Houston. He noted that he had tried it multiple times and it only worked for him on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So clearly it only works on Christmas Eve when you can do it.
Thing.
So but it begs the question, like, does it only go back 80 years? So now does it only, because he came forward a year after she did when he was able to use it. So is it like an 80-year swing thing?
Well, now Riker, also the character of Winston, who clearly knew what was up, has it all preserved and everything to be as it should.
Well, no, actually, I do have a question. Why did it take him forward in time? Why didn't it take him back 80 years?
Because they were meant to be together. you nitwit. Stop questioning. They were meant to be together. As soon as we saw, because when she first learns about, because she's basically going, because they're wanting to do like not a rewrite, but
the plot of the movie is she is a writer who has been tasked with
doing
remaking a classic Christmas
It's called
movie.
The Merry Wife, which I want to see that movie. The Merry Wife. They need to make the movie within the movie.
It's essentially kind of like It's a Wonderful Life kind of situation of that movie.
And
so she's been tasked with rewriting it, and they send her down to this hotel, which is or this castle place in North Carolina or whatever.
The Biltmore.
Where the original film was made, because she can see all the museum pieces, and she finds this magical... what's it called? What's the thing called?
An hourglass.
Hourglass.
She's kind of down on love, so she was wanting to write it so it wasn't a happy ending at the end.
Which she finds out was originally how it was supposed to end.
Big old mess around.
Yeah.
Time is infinite, though, because she ends up like basically somehow getting to be in the movie when she goes back in time. They even see her in it. She also
it's a very paradoxical film, which it's one in which from a time travel standpoint it really begs the question, like, is there free will at all? And essentially it's saying no, because all these things were destined to happen, which is how they are always happening. All those things are the way they are, and they all the way they'll be.
You're very passionate. Well, when she gets there, before she goes back in time and she's learning about the movie, she sees that the actor Jack supposedly died in December of 1948.
Yes.
And as soon as we saw that, I was like, he's going to figure out a way to get into the future. Not worried at all. Not worried at all. And that's clearly what happens. We need a sequel to see how he handles the real world. Sequel.
Man Out of Time is a classic time travel trope.
You give me Haul Out the Holly sequel, Hallmark. Give me a sequel to A Biltmore Christmas. You don't have to spend, because I think they did spend a little more money on that one, and it showed, than they did some of the others to film at the Biltmore and do all. They put a lot of work into that one with this costuming.
See, the thing is, if they did a sequel, though, they wouldn't do the stuff I want to know. Like, how's he get a social security number?
Would he be recognized? You'd be like, oh, I just look like this guy.
I don't think so, because, I mean, he's famous for one movie that's 80 years old. And you know how those actors...
if it was like Jimmy Stewart coming back to life, like everybody would know
and
him.
we think he did a couple movies after that, because he said he had a 3-picture deal, but there's no guarantee in a year how many of those movies were finished and out. So I don't think there's a high chance that he gets recognized, especially, you know, how the styles of clothing and the way you do hair changes the way people look quite a bit.
I mean, it even changed the way Bethany Joy Lenz's character looked.
But that would be an interesting one.
Because that old-timey, what is it, 40s? That's the 40s. Duh, I just said it. I love that time period of clothing, of makeup, of hair.
Late 40s, early 50s.
I just love the way it looks. Because 1948 is when he
during
died.
the movie, you were like, why don't women dress like this now? And I said, what's stopping you from dressing like that right now?
Well, I do like my comfy Adam Sandler clothes, but it would be fun to dress like that.
2 Star Trek alumni were in this movie, by the way. We cannot stop talking about this without talking about Robert Picardo, who played the famous Doctor on Star Trek.
And you do
Voyager.
realize he kind of plays a grumpy Gus in other... I'm pretty sure he's been in other Hallmark movies. Or maybe he just has a look-alike. Because he wasn't in it very long. You literally recognized him from a photo in the background.
And then I saw his picture come up on the credits, and I was like, oh!
You were kind of bummed that they weren't in a scene together, though, right?
Yeah, but they were in that same scene, but they were mirrored at different times, because they were both knocking on the door trying to get in that door, but it was just one of them was in 2023 and one of them was in 1947.
Do you think Hallmark could give me The Merry Wife? The movie within
the actual movie?
I've always wanted Home Alone to do their movie that they do, You've been smooching everyone.
Oh.
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
I don't think Hallmark did as good a job making it look like an actual old-timey movie as Home Alone did.
Home Alone. Anyway, what would you give this one? Better than fine?
This one was fine.
It's the best one we've watched of the 2023 set.
It was definitely the best of the ones we've seen this year, for sure.
You love your time travel ones. The leads. That's another thing I've noticed this year is that a lot of the leads, they have not had good chemistry. Those two had good chemistry.
They did. They had good chemistry.
So I loved it.
Great.
Favorite one so far. So those of you still sticking around, or if you've used the chapter markers because you don't want to hear about Hallmark movies, what a bummer, man. Nothing's better than escaping to the Hallmark world.
Save me.
What else have we been watching?
We just watched the 7th episode of Special Forces.
Yes. At the time of this podcast, the finale
Is
would have
out.
already
Yeah.
aired.
We
We
haven't
have
watched
not
it yet.
seen it, of
No.
course.
We usually watch. Well, I don't know why it comes out on a Monday, but we always watch it like by Friday or the weekend.
Yeah. The only time we were close to being spoiled was we were watching the WVU game on Saturday, and it was on Fox Sports 1, and there were like 5 contestants left, and we knew
Yeah.
that there were 6 when we
Like
had
we both
watched.
shut our eyes and we're like blah 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 blah. But we knew, so we knew somebody dropped out this episode, but we didn't know who, and it ultimately turned out to be. I'm a little surprised, honestly.
I'm surprised, but I'm
Bodie
also
Miller.
not surprised.
It was Bodie Miller that dropped out. Well, yeah, I agree because like
I have mixed. I feel like Tom would be the obvious choice, who you could have thought would have dropped out, but Bodie Miller is. He even said it on there. Like he spent the beginning of his skiing career just pushing himself to the limit, to the breaking point. No quit in him, but he's since learned to know your limits. That it's sometimes it can be smart to say, my body can't handle this,
Right.
And that's something that I have not learned yet, and I don't think you've learned yet either when it comes to pushing physical
run
limits.
till you puke, baby.
Yeah, run till you throw up. So I kind of figured as this episode is progressing, I'm like, I think he's going to make the decision to call it. Because at the end of the day, you're doing a reality show. Yes, they're getting paid, but his groin was really, really hurting. Like, do you want to come
he
away?
tweaked it when he finally
with a bad
tapped out.
injury?
He had said he tweaked it back there and then again right here because they were making him do They made him pull that sled.
Yeah.
And then he went way too hard and didn't let JoJo help out until
Hardly
the
at
very
all.
last end. And then they started making him like bear crawl through the tundra, and that's when he tapped out.
And like Nick
miserable.
Nick Viall said, I think part of the reason why he tapped out was also for us because he knew you do have to work together as a team.
Yeah.
And I think he figured, he didn't want to be the one to hold back the others.
Yep.
So we were down to 5: JoJo, Tyler, Nick, Aaron, and Tom. I can't believe Tom.
Tom ain't gonna hang with this next part.
So finale has aired at the
Well,
time.
yeah, because this episode they did the sled thing early, and then they gave him the warning that, hey, guess what? At some unknown time, we're gonna come get you, and you're gonna be on the run.
Yeah.
And gave him a little bit of like their background, like their false identity, and all that stuff. And then the rest of the episode was them being chased down by those guys with the dog.
And before they started their run, they could choose to watch videos submitted
Oh, that's
from people
true.
at home.
Yeah.
Daniel and I were both in agreement, unless one of us did President Whitmore's speech or Bill Stewart, former WVU coach's Leave No Doubt speech. That's the one I'd want. That we wouldn't watch the videos from me because we would shut off our emotions to get through
If
it.
I were presented with that option, no offense to you, I would have been like,
None taken.
I'm not watching it.
And no offense to you.
I'm not watching it because the last thing I need right now is for my emotions to step in
Unless
and
you
get,
give me a
and get
movie
me off
speech.
track. Yeah.
Unless you give me a movie speech. But yeah. But they all chose to watch it, so of course that gets them all in their feels. I think for me, the part where they're being like chased and they have to get away,
I can hear the dogs
hearing
in the
the
background.
dogs
Yeah.
barking, it being dark, that would just be so make me so anxious. And then taking us back to a Hallmark movie, they also had to read a map and use a compass.
Yeah.
I think that would be hard for me. I don't like maps. I'm like Joey from Friends. I have to go into the map. What did JoJo asked how to hold the compass, and the guy looked at her like she was an idiot. So I'm looking at you. I'm like, well, how do you hold a compass? I'm like, does it matter? That she was asking how I think she knew I know it's always gonna point north, but do you hold it? How do you? He never answered it. Do you hold it on the palm of your hand? Do you hold it upright? That's what she was asking.
You hold
and
it
he wasn't answering
horizontally
her
in the
question.
palm of your hand. I mean, theoretically, holding it vertical isn't going to change because this thing's still going to point north.
And I think that's kind of what he was saying to her. It doesn't matter. It's still going to point north. But I think I understood what she was saying. What's the best way to hold it?
It's just if you hold it horizontally, then it's actually along with the landscape. So you can say point north is that way and just walk that way. Whereas you hold it this way, it's still pointing the same direction.
Yeah.
But it's not oriented with you're not in the map.
If you had to be partnered with someone from the finale, what 2 people would you want to be partnered with right now that's left? I think I'm going to go with Tyler Cameron and JoJo. Pick one. Even though Aaron Jackson's really calm and even keeled, I feel like JoJo's really proven herself. And I think Tyler Cameron is the best of the 3 guys that are left.
For me in the situation,
and he's dreaming.
I'm going to go with JoJo and Aaron because JoJo's got that youthful energy,
Yeah.
and Aaron's got that even keel. And I think the 3.
Well, you have to pick one guy. I said pick
Oh,
a
I
girl
have
or
to
guy.
pick a guy?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be Tom.
So are you going with Nick or Tyler?
Probably Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my Roman empires is Tyler and Hannah.
You can't have multiple Roman empires.
Well, I
do.
do.
There's only one. You have a Roman empire.
I do. That's fine.
That's how it
my
goes.
Roman empire. I never ship real life couples, but when they were on her season of The Bachelorette, I truly feel they were meant to be. And then they had the quarantine crew when she got stuck down there. He even referenced her in this recent episode. And they're both just so good and so committed to trying to get through these challenges. And I feel like they're both like attacking it the same way. Man, two star-crossed people. Classic case of right person, wrong time. And you watched Special Forces last year. You saw the way Hannah Brown, who won, attacked the competition. Do you not see, now that you're watching Tyler on the show, how they are very similar?
I suppose I could get on board with that. That doesn't mean, just because they're similar doesn't mean they would have made a good couple. By the way, my Roman empire is Phantasy Star Online, the 2001 Dreamcast classic.
I have like 5 Roman empires, and you know what?
You can't have more than one.
Well, you don't make the rules, so I have more than one. Anything else you want to say about Special Forces?
No.
Do you have a prediction who you think's gonna make it?
Tom is not going to make it.
Do you think
they're going to crack him?
Because they said someone might be medically removed.
Somebody will be medically removed. I don't know that that's Tom, but he is not going to make it.
I mean, he was boo-hooing before the thing even got started.
They're going to break him.
And then he was like, let me have more trail mix and water when, I've got a dog barking at me and people hunt me down. And JoJo's like, what are you doing?
He is going to be broken by interrogation. Like, he's not going to make it through. He's going to tap.
Do you think the other ones are all going to make it, or do you think some of them won't?
I don't know, because this is really so different than all the other challenges the last day. If they do it similarly how they did it last season, which I'm sure they'll change a few things up, but a lot of stuff will be also similar. It's so different from everything else they do over the course of this. I really don't know who's going to make it.
I think this cast is more determined than last season. Maybe it's because they watched the last season.
Possibly,
and they know
they kind of have a little bit of heads up. I'm not sure.
Like, you had some people at the beginning, like when Brian Austin Green was like, yeah, I'm done, that it was just like they didn't care about it. But like for the group that's left, like there's not much, like there's no quitting in them. Like Bodie Miller only ultimately pulled out because he knew it was the right decision health-wise.
Yeah.
And for him, there's nothing to be ashamed of.
No,
for that,
absolutely not.
For doing the smart
Absolutely
thing.
not.
At the end of the day, it is a reality show.
I think that the solution to the finale last year was so unintuitive from what you would think you're supposed to do that it really just takes somebody thinking. Because really, honestly, like the way that you got out, the way that you won last year essentially was at some point you actually had to comply with the interrogators.
How would you?
And that's not like that. If some of these stubborn folks that are in here in the finale might have trouble, if it's that, and that might not even be
what it is,
what the situation is.
How would you respond to the previews? And we saw it last year, the people getting in your face, screaming at you, interrogating you.
I'm fine with that stuff.
You have a little bit of rage though sometimes.
Yeah, but I can you channel that into the physical
activity.
Says the
guy who we were on a run the other day, and this idiot in like a FedEx truck just. It's broad daylight, by the way, not even paying attention. So he's not moving for anything. I'm like, Daniel, let's just get over. So I jump over, like thinking Daniel's right behind me to the other street. And Daniel just decides he's gonna, and it was honestly hot, by the way, because I like psycho people, apparently. I am an Anakin apologist. Daniel's like, hit me. And basically just stares this guy down because you're like, I wanted him to see my eyes. And I'm like, and what if you had been hit? And you're like, oh, well.
I wasn't going to get hit. I just wanted to make eye contact with the guy to let him know how stupid he was.
I'm like, what are you doing? Did you actually make...
No, he intentionally avoided my eye contact with him.
He
knew I was
cig,
there.
Right?
Yeah, he just had a cig hanging out of his mouth. He was like tapped out. Yeah. Okay, fine. I didn't get hit. I'm alive.
I think, you know what would be my problem? What do I do when I'm really uncomfortable? And this used to get me...
You giggle and laugh.
Yeah, this used to get me like in trouble when I was a kid. Like
JoJo had that problem, and actually Hannah Brown had that problem last year, and they had to kind of work on it.
I think it's because we try, like, I don't know, maybe something like our personality, like we try to not show the vulnerability. I don't even know. But Hannah had that issue. JoJo's had that issue a lot. I am the type, I'm like Claire Dunphy. too. And like, you can tell me like sad news, and sometimes like I'll just react with like uncomfortable laughter, and I don't know why I do it. It's not because I'm crazy. It's like, it just happens. Conversations, I guess, for my therapist.
Correct.
But it would be really hard for me, especially when I know I'm on a show and I'm not really being interrogated in real life, because my brain ultimately knows I'm on a competition show and I got this person screaming at me. It would be so hard for me not to start laughing. And I think you'd be able to not laugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Tom's ex, who I can't believe they ever dated, has advanced to the semifinals of Dancing with the Stars. Do you want to go ahead and jump into that one? His ex is Ariana. I always say her name wrong. It's like Ariana, and she's partnered with Pasha, so she has advanced to the semifinals. Charity Lawson, former Bachelorette, has advanced to the semifinals. Who else made it through? Sochi Gomez.
Sochi is there.
Sochi and Val.
Jason Mraz is there.
Mraz and Allison.
Yeah, and Allison. We finally, at long last, after much suffering and strife, have gotten rid of Harry.
Yes, Harry is
and we
gone.
are all happy Thanksgiving. I know what I'm thankful for. Harry's not on Dancing with the Stars anymore.
You're very passionate about this. It's good that Harry's not there, because other dancers that deserve to be there did.
I can live with Barry being gone, because he wasn't going to win the whole thing.
But he had showed improvement.
But Lele, I really feel like could have been a dark horse.
I think Lele could have won.
I think she could have been a dark horse at the end. Obviously, maybe not, because she doesn't seem like maybe she had the fan vote.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I thought that she was a talented dancer, and I was sad to hear that she had
was
gone
so bummed to miss Taylor night
for Harry of all people.
Yeah. It's good that I was really worried, and I think I said on the last podcast that Harry was going to make the finals because the fan vote was so strong. So, honestly, you know who you can thank for getting Harry out of there? The Swifties. The Swifties came through. Apparently,
I don't have a problem with that.
Harry follows Scooter Braun on Instagram. Swifties found out about it, that tuned in only because it was Taylor night. And they voted for the other candidate.
Why would anyone ever trust a man that goes by Scooter?
Good question. But I think that we really can thank Taylor Nation for getting Harry out of there. And people, I've seen this comment, because apparently Allison is doing pretty good in fan vote now. Like, they're like, oh, what if Allison makes it to the finals and not Charity? Which I think
I'll be fine with that.
I would be fine with that, and this is why. Charity is is probably the best technical dancer. It's just she's not giving as much emotion.
The problem,
I feel
and I don't mean this in an insulting way. She's giving nothing else but the technical
She's
stuff.
very good.
Yes,
technically speaking,
she is very good. But like, it's just
I don't feel a lot from her dances.
There's nothing.
And Allison, why I would be okay if Allison did make, and I'll be okay if I really at this point, now that Harry's gone, I'm not going to be too upset. I would probably be upset if Sochi.
I think
Sochi
is
not
my
making
ride or
it.
die. Sochi's my ride or die at this point.
Yeah.
She's the one I want to win, and so if she goes, I'll be mad. But anybody else, I'll fine with. I can live with it.
Allison has improved.
I just wanted Harry out of there.
Allison has improved.
Yes, every week.
She did regress slightly for her first Taylor dance that she did. It wasn't as good as the week before, but she has learned to dance. You can tell she's more toned. She's learned to dance. She's really benefiting from the experience. Harry did not look better at all, and he did get a jive, like you said he was going to get stuck with. He did better in the jive than I thought he would do, but still a little too late.
He had no choice. She can't dance around him in a jive.
No.
And he went home the night he's had a jive. Look, I should be a judge.
I guess so. Or again, thank the Swifties for helping get him out of there. But he's one of those people that, yes, people are like, well, that's what the show's about. It's about the fan vote. Yes, it is about the fan vote, but it's also about, like, he is, one of those people that has absolutely no dance experience, and that can be fun to watch someone with no dance experience get better and better and better. He did not get better.
No.
Like, that was probably one of his better dances last time, but in terms of, like, still, she was, other than some of the side-by-side moves, she was still mostly dancing around him. He has no musicality, just very clunky. And I have seen dancers, like we saw Amon, who won a couple seasons ago, started off the seasons getting fours and then managed to win. Was Amon ultimately better than JoJo, who got second? No. JoJo was still the best dancer that season, and I'd say Cody, who got third, was probably better than Amon, but Amon deserved that win, and it was one of my favorite wins because he did improve so much. I think Lynn would have totally given Harry fours, by the way, continuously.
Oh, he would have trashed him every week. It would have been brutal.
It was almost insulting when he got better scores than Allison the other night, and the judges have tried to be like, oh, well, we judge everyone based off them as people, and I'm like, but no, you really can't do that.
No.
So honestly, at this point, Sochi, that's who I want to win as well. She's so fun to watch. I think she's brought out a really fun side of Val. He just does good work with the younger contestants. So I would be a little irritated if she somehow didn't make it to the finals.
I mean,
but other than that, I'm pretty good with everything.
From the dancing perspective, it's hers to lose. Now, obviously, the fan vote is a little bit of a different situation, but purely from the dancing, she has it both on the technical side
and the performance
and also
side.
on the performance side. And like nobody's matching her right now.
I would say my favorites, if I had to like rank them in order right now, who I like the best, and I don't know if you agree or not. Sochi, you agree with that one. And then I would, for a while, I was enjoying Jason more, but I honestly think lately that Ariana, I'm liking some of her dances a little better than his. So I would go Sochi, Ariana, and then probably Jason, and then Allison and Charity are both good. I enjoy them for different ways. I like that I've seen Allison improve, and then Charity is a very good technical dancer, so I kind of put them on an even playing field. What are your like
I
personal
get on board
favorites?
with that list. I think that's a good list.
Like, is it Ariana? Like, she's really improved, and she's a very good dancer. So I would be a little upset if she didn't make the finals. And again, I can't. How on earth did she date that Tom guy?
No, I don't see it. We're watching two.
What a mismatch.
We're watching two reality shows with those two on it, and I just don't. I've never seen Vanderpump Rules, so I'm not
Me
gonna.
either.
So quit asking.
I'm not gonna.
But I just cannot understand or fathom how those two have ever been together. If you ask me, have these two even met? I would be like, no, probably not. I mean, they seem so different.
So different. In non-reality TV shows, what else have we been watching? Not a lot, but there was one show.
Oh, Frasier. I almost forgot about it.
Frasier, yeah.
Because it's so forgettable.
Becoming forgettable, unfortunately.
This episode, like, they had Lilith last episode. This episode is just, like, boring. Like,
it's kind of a David-centric episode, too.
Even worse.
I did like how this episode kind of, because apparently when Freddie gets drunk, he doesn't conceal how smart he is, and it brought back like Freddie's trying to be the everyday man, and yes, you can balance both, but at the end of the day, we all remember how smart Freddie was. He was like a national spelling bee winner.
Mm-hmm.
He got in that special like Marbury thanks you for your consideration or whatever they say in the classic Thanksgiving episode, Marbury Academy, and which is apparently a very exclusive school. So we know Freddie's smart.
Yeah.
And he definitely tones it down a little bit. Like, you've seen signs where he's reading, reading the horror, men that read. They're really going into some bad tropes here. But it was nice seeing smart Freddie.
Yeah, it was. It's still just like
Frasier's
overall,
like, my son is back.
Just a stinker of an episode.
And Frasier was particularly cringeworthy. He wants the title of professor so bad that he's willing. It was just a classic like mess around.
It was you say classic mess around, but it was just a cringy mess around. It wasn't. There was like
because like the guy that's like the provost or something that helps make the decisions, who gets the title of professor, like hates drinking, and they had him meet it in the bar. So then Frasier's pretending to not drink, and then he gets that allergic reaction because David was arguing with Frasier about
because David got a B from Frasier, and it's like I gotta be honest with you, I don't, and I know Niles isn't in the episode, but he's referenced multiple.
I think Niles would be mad.
Niles is referenced most in this episode as anything. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Niles, he would be mad, but he wouldn't be mad at David.
He'd be mad at
Frasier.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the reaction that Niles would have. Is he would be mad at Frasier for getting his son a B, not his son getting a B.
Exactly. It was just so when Frasier has the allergic reaction, like he looks drunk when he's rolling in because he's stumbling. It wasn't a good episode. It was a stinker.
It was bad.
Roz is showing up at some point. I really hope they don't regress Roz's character.
They're going to because they've done it to every other character in the show.
I guess so. Somebody did point out in the Reddit group, they're like, you know who Freddie looks like? A Hallmark male lead in a Christmas movie. And I'm like, that is the type of attractive he is.
I can see him there in a couple years.
One of the best compliments I ever received was somebody once told me that I look like I could be in a Hallmark movie. And I was like, so you think I'm like a D-list celebrity? And it was so nice. Maybe it was not meant to be a compliment, but I took it as such.
Well, that's all that matters.
You could be my small town man in flannel. I did leave my big city dreams for you.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Well, is it time?
Is it time for what?
For season 3 of The OC.
Yes.
So here we are, yes. Season 3 of The OC. We've watched 5 episodes.
We have watched 4 episodes.
4 episodes. We've been lagging a little bit. It's been busy. And, I mean, let's face it.
Season 3 is a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
I think I've rewatched some of the beginning episodes of season 3, and then I always get discouraged, and I haven't really gone back. Typically, I watch, if I'm doing an OC rewatch, which again, haven't done in a while, I stick to those first 2 seasons, and I'm learning why I do. Like, it's about to get kind of really, really depressing. So we've watched the premiere, The Aftermath. That's where Ryan and Marissa deal with the aftermath of Trey's shooting. They really solved that one quickly.
Boy, wrapped it up in a nice 42-minute
A little bow. And Kirsten, oh my gosh, this episode, for your birthday, I wouldn't expect anything less. Who does Kirsten meet in rehab? 'Cause she's
7 of 9.
7 of 9, also known as Charlotte Morgan.
The actress is Jerry Ryan, by the way.
The actress is Jerry Ryan, who looks very good still to this day.
I agree.
And her character kind of sucks on the OC though.
Oh, terrible,
she's
terrible
trying.
person.
She's basically
scam artist. We find out
in rehab to try to scam a rich woman to get their money. So she's
Yes.
going after Kirsten. So we have to deal with the fallout of that. Then we have episode 2, The Shape of Things to Come, where we find out that Ryan and Marissa are both going to be expelled, but somehow Ryan at first doesn't get expelled. It's just Marissa.
Yeah.
But then Ryan, what does Ryan do?
He punches somebody.
He
as
punches
Ryan
the new
does.
dean. So of course,
I hate that guy. By the way, I just want to make it. I know that the writers were trying to make me hate that dean.
Yeah, mission
and
accomplished.
they accomplished it with flying colors.
We've also met Taylor Townsend, who will become a series regular and will stick around in season 4. I forgot
They got
how,
a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I forgot how awful Taylor was in the beginning. She definitely kind of stays annoying and quirky, but I ended up liking Taylor towards the end, especially in season 4. I grew accustomed to her, but whoo, she is
I do want to point
awful
out the last episode we watched, we found out finally that she was getting it on,
hooking up with the dean.
I called that
you did.
episode 2.
And I tried to keep a poker face and just started laughing. We were like, is she hooking up with the dean? You also called that she's going to have a crush on Seth, which we haven't gotten to yet, but that's coming soon. And I remember at the time, though, when I watched this and it was airing, I was a lot more critical of Taylor for hooking up with the dean. And now that I look back on it, ew. Even if she is a snotty, bratty girl, she is being taken advantage of by the dean. By an older man in a position of power.
He has a name, right? I just don't know what it is.
I just call him the dean. It's gross. And probably he sees that she's kind of a crazy little bit of a nut job, and that's the perfect person that he can kind of, manipulate, yes. So looking back on that, I do not blame Taylor at all for that part. Yes, she's still a witch and she's still mean. And
is she an actual witch?
No.
Because that would make season 3 a little better.
She's not an actual witch.
Just some witches and vampires and werewolves in here?
No.
Okay.
Only 7 of 9s. But I
the Borg are here.
I blamed her a lot more. And that just shows how you view things as you mature and you think things differently. Because now that we're, grown ups, probably older than how that dean was, because I think he's supposed to be younger. It's ew. 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 Just like the whole Luke and Julie thing in season 1. I used to be a lot more icked out by Luke back in the day. At the end of the day, Julie is the one to blame in that. She was the grown up in the situation. Speaking of Julie, she and Jimmy almost got remarried, and then what did Jimmy do?
He split, man. He's out.
He's stupid.
I'll tell you what.
I'm gonna let you handle this one.
The writers didn't do that character any justice. He'd had a bit of a redemption arc in season 2. season
Season one.
Season 1, I guess,
don't
because he
remember.
wasn't really in season 2 a ton.
No.
But he'd had a bit
He
of a
wasn't in
redemption
season
arc.
2 hardly at all.
Like he was like, I'm out. I've got my money from Caleb. I'm gonna get out of here.
I mean, he did
go.
abandon Marissa and choose to move away, but
Well, he said she could come with her. Like that, it was a completely different situation when he
call it
left.
redemption, still lazy parenting.
When he
but
left in season 1, it was a completely different situation
he had his reasons.
than when he left here. And he comes back, and man, they just were like, nope, you're not gonna like this guy. He is just going to be right back to where he started, taking out loans. Total loser, and can't manage his money.
Total screw up.
And total screw up. And he splits, and I guess
Even
he went
Sandy
back to Hawaii.
lost his patience with him. Sandy, because that was where he basically wasn't, Julie, being Julie, was trying to get Ryan to be the one to take full responsibility for what happened with Trey, to keep Marissa's future intact, and get Ryan kicked out of school. And Sandy's like, you know that Ryan didn't do this, and you're not doing anything, Jimmy, come on. So even Sandy is who is the best man ever, his tolerance level was low for Jimmy.
Good riddance to bad rubbish.
And you know what though, it's funny because when I started watching, we started our rewatch, I'm like, there was a reason why I just could not stand Jimmy, and why was that reason? And then season 3 starts, and it all comes screaming back to me. Total loser. So he's basically banking on Caleb's money. So, spoiler alert from, 20 plus years ago, Caleb's broke.
Yeah.
He didn't leave. He left a letter for Kirsten. Didn't leave anybody anything.
Just a quick question. Does Jimmy come back for...
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't know.
Man, that's really bad.
I hated that storyline so much that I've just kind of blinked it out.
And I know part of that's probably just the actor
I've just
scheduling,
blanked it out.
but I wonder if he doesn't come back. Boy, from a story perspective, that's
I think
rough.
we might see him in in season 4 in a dream sequence, but maybe not. I don't remember. Like I said, I've really kind of blacked a lot of this out, and yeah, Jimmy sucks. They really did that character dirty.
Bad.
Because at first he was kind of a lovable loser, and then you're just even Marissa's don't come back, Dad.
But yeah, so Caleb is broke.
I'm excited to see a different side of Julie. I think we're getting Trailer Park Julie soon.
Caleb is broke, and Marissa's out of school, so she's going to public school because she can't. She got kicked out of Harbor, and even if she hadn't got kicked out of Harbor, she probably wasn't going to be able to afford to go there anymore. They
weren't going to be able, because Ryan's doing homeschooling because Sandy's paying for a private tutor. Julie can't afford that, so we're about to have probably Trailer Park Julie soon. Julie, didn't the Coens offer to help Julie, and she's no.
Yeah,
because she still does have her pride.
And so Marissa's at public school, learning the hard lessons about public school.
And she thought that no one would know her there, so she was a little excited about it. Turns out everybody knows the pretty rich girl that shot somebody.
Yeah.
And we are getting our first introduction to Johnny, who will be a character. He's not annoying in the way Oliver was, but he's annoying for other reasons, and it's a whole thing. And I'm really not looking forward to the storyline at all. Got to be honest with you, I dread it.
Yeah.
I dread it.
I really don't think I've seen this season. None of this is ringing a bell.
Yeah, prepare yourself, strap in.
I'm not really.
I dread it. And then of course we have Ryan, overreacting.
It figures that we're going to be watching this season.
Hey, he and Marissa finally did hook up though on the beach.
That's true. We're going to be watching this season during the dark times of December, January.
I guess so.
When there's no sunlight outside.
Well, when he and Marissa finally hooked up, they thought she was going to be moving to Hawaii.
Yeah.
With Jimmy and Julie, and then of course Jimmy just didn't even have the balls to tell Julie he left. I know we're pouring on thick with that, but Ryan still hasn't learned anything. Doesn't he get in one of her new friend's faces at school? Yeah, she sees him talking to her and just gets in his face immediately, assuming of course that he is negative and ultimately bad. His suspicions will probably be proven correct.
Yeah, but that's the problem is his suspicions are never founded in anything real. His suspicions are just being overprotective.
Push.
And they happen to work out.
Yeah.
But only because the script wanted it to.
Yeah. And then Summer and Seth are doing well for a while for now. And in the most recent episode we saw, that's where Summer saw Taylor kissing the dean.
Yes, that's where we left it off.
Summer's trying to be involved and take over social chair to kind of keep the seat warm for Marissa. So that's kind of her thing right now. But you can just tell the vibe of the show in season 3, it's lacking. We know we still have some stuff to go with Charlotte Morgan. Caitlin will show up at some point. This Johnny storyline, again, settle in. It's going to be a thing. I really feel like we're about to get into some of the pretty darn depressing episodes, and I'm not looking forward to it. And just, again, with the guys and Marissa, I think every guy at this point that Marissa so much as acknowledges, they fall deeply in love with her.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah. So, yeah, settle in. Anything that you're looking forward to with season 3?
The end of it.
Do you, at this point, knowing what you've seen of Taylor, can you see how she becomes sort of enjoyable?
No.
She's an acquired
Boy,
taste.
it's no, I cannot. Especially with what I got you to admit to me was the ultimate finale there. No, they're gonna have to do
Pass.
Yeah, they're gonna have to that's gonna be an interesting writing journey to
Yes.
get that character to a likable place, let alone a lovable place.
Yes, agreed. So that's pretty much it for the OC for now.
I think that's pretty much it for the episode. Sorry folks, between not much being on and the holidays, this is kind of what we got for you.
But all you people that love Hallmark movies are going to like that section. Those of you that aren't into the Hallmark thing, you got a huge chunk that you can skip through.
We will be getting back to what we do in Shadows here as we kind of
Absolutely.
get back into a normal routine of the week. But just the week of Thanksgiving is such a nightmare. And then, we spent
it's a lot
it's just
cooking.
a lot of cooking and a lot of traveling and a lot of just, hand wringing and being stressed out about various different things. And, just throws, we're routine people to a certain extent, and it just throws your routine off, and it takes you a little bit of time to kind of get back into the groove of things. Plus, now that I've got my new video game thing, I've got a lot of video games to catch up on.
That's true.
So
on that note, happy birthday, Daniel, once again.
Thank you.
And have a good week, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.